Redfall, more like Deadfall. Thank you. I will now show myself out because that was cringe.
So yesterday I recorded a whole video on Redfall and how it was ridiculous. We haven't heard anything. It just had its 1 year anniversary. There hasn't been a lick of DLC. They've barely gotten the game running better. And I wanted to point out how it was just ridiculous. The people who may have bought the $100 Bite Back edition have not heard anything. They don't even know if they're still getting the 2 additional playable characters that they already paid for. So I made this whole video, we filmed it, we cut a bunch of it together. This is the raw recording you can see here as we like skip around. There's all sorts of stuff, looking at their social media posts and all that. Sorry, my cats are joining me for the video today, and so you might see them puttering about. They're a little disruptive. But one of the points of the video was to look at some statements by Pete Hines, who was the former head of marketing, like senior vice president of marketing and publishing over at Bethesda Softworks before he retired back in like October, November. But in this article that he did,
well, we already know that Redfall is out the window.
With IGN, a little interview, he described how they weren't going to abandon Redfall. They were still working on it. Bethesda's not the type to walk away from projects and dump them just because they started rough. He's like, Game Pass is forever, which I thought was particularly funny, especially now after today's news, because he says
he has a point. Most people buy Game Pass, and when they don't play anything, they forget that they need to cancel Game Pass. That's how Game Pass actually costs you on average more than actually buying the games. Game Pass is a scam unless you're playing 3 to 4 games per year, okay? And not for like 5 minutes. If you actually play 4 games per year, Game Pass has some value. But if you're playing 2 games per year from Game Pass, you're getting hosed, my dude.
We're going to get it to be a good game because we know as a first-party studio, Game Pass lives forever. There will be people 10 years from now who are going to join Game Pass and Redfall will be there. Props to them, right? Not abandoning a game, not doing anything.
I don't know, sounds just like your average PR mumbo jumbo.
Drastic. And they also confirmed for everybody, as in this article right here, that was published and distributed a year ago in June of 2023. They said Microsoft is not planning to shut down the Redfall studio, Arcane Austin. Great. Let them fix it. Oh, what's that?
I mean, how can you fix it? It's easier to make a new game at that point than fix Redfall, to be honest.
Oh, none of that's true anymore. That's all wrong. They just closed them. I woke up, rolled over, checked my phone, and I had a bunch of texts from my editors and stuff telling me that this was just announced. And I was like,
yay!
What? Really? I dug into it, and sure enough, Xbox is shutting down Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks, and 2 other Bethesda Softworks studios, but Alpha Dog specifically and Roundhouse Games. You can see the news broke at 7:17 a.m. this morning, and it was simply a post by IGN where they collected information from an email that was sent out by Matt Booty, who is the head of Xbox Studios, and he announced that they were shutting these guys down. Arcane Austin,
yeah, we already know that.
And perhaps doesn't shock anybody that much because, of course, Redfall has been an unmitigated disaster. In the video I filmed yesterday, they were struggling to get 45...
Wait a minute, 40 players? That's like a 100% player increase from the last time I heard about this. They're doing great! 100%, that's a lot!
5 players concurrent globally on Steam. And granted, it's a Game Pass title, but that's still pretty dang rough. Hey, I'm trying to film a video. Can I maybe like we scooch just a bit, maybe? Yeah, go be like Hermione. She's in the background. She's cooperating. Well, what also took me by surprise is that they're also dumping Tango Gameworks, the guys behind The Evil Within, and of course Hi-Fi Rush, which was a very well-received shadow drop to Game Pass just like what, early last year out of nowhere? Furthermore, Alpha Dog Games, maker of the mobile game Mighty Doom, I personally have never heard of that, will also close. Roundhouse Studios will be absorbed by the Elder Scrolls Online developers ZeniMax Online Studios, and This is part of a broader restructuring. They announced earlier this year that they were going to lay off about 1,900 people in the gaming division. And they started out with a few waves that hit Activision and some other places. But now the next wave is hitting some other companies. And it's an unfortunate reality of the current industry. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Because I think we all were kind of braced maybe for this to happen to a company like Arcane or a studio like Arcane after a really disastrous launch, but they said time and time again last year, that this was not going to happen, and they've just walked it back. But now it makes a lot more sense why there have been no plans revealed for DLC. There's been no looks at any sort of marketing campaigns or anything. Like, we just have heard nothing from them other than like a 60 FPS update that made the game
that didn't work properly, obviously.
Game better, but certainly didn't fix it. But you can see in this X post from Arcane, it says sign up here to receive details on how eligible players can receive this credit. And this credit is specifically in regard to this post. Today, it was announced that Arcane Austin will close and development will not continue on Redfall. To everyone that has supported the work from our Austin studio over the years, thank you. Thank you for spending time in our worlds and making them your own. Arcane Leon will continue their focus on immersive experiences where they are hard at work on their upcoming project, which is that Blade game. Redfall players who purchase the Hero Pass as part of the Premium Biteback Edition or the Premium Biteback Upgrade will be eligible to receive the value of the upgrade.
This is the funniest part. Okay, yeah, we're not really gonna update the game anymore, but boys, trust me. Yeah, that $100 you spent on the, 2 extra playable characters and whatnot, bruh, we got you. You're still gonna get that money. Don't worry about it. We're gonna still add value. I bet they're gonna add like a gun or two or something like that.
While there are no further updates, Redfall servers will remain online for players to enjoy. I'm not sure the value of the
Hey, looks like the PR guy did not lie though. Redfall is here to stay forever, in the shitty state it already is. But forever!
Upgrade, does that refer to like store credit? Does that mean that they're going to give you DLC or something else? But you can see this seems to have taken them a bit by surprise, because even they are saying this article will be updated because they haven't actually taken the steps to fully realize this program to get your money back or to get some sort of refund. And to be clear, this is not the first time that this type of thing has happened. Ubisoft...
You know what the Redfall players will get? Fallout 76 store credit. That would be hilarious. Imagine. So, you're not getting this, but you are gonna get 7,000 atoms, which is enough to buy dick nothing, honestly, in that game. So, and you have only 12 hours to create an account, download the game, and play it, for 5 hours, and then you're eligible for the atoms. It's probably gonna be something like that. It's gonna be hilarious.
Actually, in years past, back in 2014, they canceled the season pass for Assassin's Creed Unity, and in exchange for that, they didn't refund players, but they gave them the Dead Kings DLC for free. So if you wanted that, you could get that. And then they also gave them the ability to redeem a copy of The Crew, Far Cry 4, Watch Dogs,
The Crew, which is gone. The Crew, it's gone. Far Cry 4, okay. Watch Dogs 4, garbage. Assassin's Creed Black Flag, a billion-year-old game at this point. Ooh, wee, boys.
See Black Flag.
And by the way, also, again, do not miss the fact that they're saying give the opportunity for you to redeem or whatever. So, if you miss the window, it's the same as the Bethesda launcher thing. Remember when the Bethesda launcher was a thing and everything was on the launcher because everyone wanted to be Steam because that just churns money like there's no tomorrow? Yeah, that thing. When the Bethesda launcher shut down and, well, you had to put everything on Steam. You only had a certain amount of time to prove that you own the game on Steam, otherwise it would be lost forever. This is always what they do, because, if there is a chance you miss this, fail this, or lose the opportunity, hey, that's a potential for them to make more money.
Rayman Legends or Just Dance 2015 at no charge. So they tried to give you the value of the season pass, but it wasn't like they just gave you a refund. And this to me sounds weird that this is allowed. Like, you buy something and then when they don't deliver that something, they just give you something else you didn't want to make it even. I'm surprised that works and is allowed. I would think they should just give you back your money and just issue a refund.
Hell no.
But I'm sure in their terms of service or something, there's like a little statement that says, oh, and if we can't deliver DLC, we reserve the right to give you something of roughly equal value, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure they're covered legally. I just think it sucks. If I were somebody that bought the Bite Back edition, which thankfully I didn't, I would be upset. I would just want my money back, but I guess.
Rest in peace, everyone who bought Redfall. Close enough.
Beggars can't be choosers in this instance. I mean, the studio's going under, so I guess getting something is something. Oh my gosh, look at him. Look at him. He's standing.
Well, it's not actually going under. Also cute.
He's standing on his back paws. He's doing the little. What are you looking at? Anyway, but I guess it's not all that surprising that this is happening, specifically when you look at some of the reporting that happened shortly after Redfall's launch. In this article by Jason Schreier back in June of 23, so just like a month after the game dropped, he reported on kind of the inner workings of the studio, what happened when they were putting it together and all of that. And there's some really interesting tidbits in here, specifically with like misdirection. A bunch of the game's directors didn't really know what they were making, so when people would ask them, what are we doing? They would just randomly say like, well, like we're doing Far Cry, but also like think of some other games like Borderlands. Think of that. That's a good one. And nobody really knew what they were making. And as a result,
well, technically that's almost kind of what they almost made. Almost.
A lot of people didn't really like what they were making. And one of the interesting things about this also is Redfall wasn't announced for years while it was being developed. And so people would apply for jobs at Arcane Austin thinking that they were going to get to work on like Prey, or they were going to get to work on Dishonored or something like that. And so they would apply, but nobody in the interviews could tell them what they were going to be making until they got the job and signed all the NDAs and all that stuff. So people would take the job all excited they were going to get to make their dream type of game, and then show up to work on the first day and find out that they're making a co-op looter shooter live service game. And a lot of people didn't like it and didn't last very long. They had crazy high turnover as a result. And you can see here, morale at Arcane suffered. Veteran workers who weren't interested in developing a multiplayer game left in droves. By the end of Redfall's development, roughly 70% of Austin staff who had worked on Prey would no longer be at the company, according to people familiar, as well as a Bloomberg analysis of LinkedIn and Prey's credits, which is...
Well, of course. I mean, you make Prey. Prey was critically acclaimed. Prey was a good game. It had its, it had its downfalls, it had its problems, but overall, Prey was an unquestionable success. Okay? People liked it. It was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Now, these same people who just delivered something really good and something that is, probably the number one thing they mention on their portfolio, get to make something that no one even knows what they're making. The smart people jump ship as soon as possible.
Wild. And any industry you work in, if 70% of your team leaves during the course of one project, something went horribly wrong. And I think that what most likely
not necessarily true, by the way, not even close to true.
Happened is that Microsoft looked at Arcane Austin and just said, listen, this team put out Redfall. It was a huge embarrassment for us. And now, like, the people that are there is probably a skeleton crew, because any other veterans that were still there after Redfall's launch, I would imagine, have also moved on. And so I think they probably looked at it and were just like, there's no way this team gets back on their feet quickly. Well, let's just shut it down, save the millions, and throw the millions of dollars at some other studio we think can make us more money, or put out a product that's not going to be rated at like a 54 on Metacritic. And you know what? Of course, it's too bad, because you never want to see anybody getting laid off. I don't think any of the individuals that were working on Redfall were responsible.
This is such a wildly more reasonable take than Maddie. Nice, good.
For the disaster that it ended up being, both for Microsoft and then also for players and gamers who paid for it. I mean, it was laughably bad when it came out. I think most of the blame lands again at the feet of
I mean, it's still bad. I don't even enjoy the sprint animation. Look at this.
Laughably bad when it came out.
There's no sound. This is just awkward.
I think most of the blame lands again.
The movement, the blur. What the hell is going on here? Bro, when you can't even make running proper, you have messed up on a fundamental existential level.
At the feet of the directors, at the feet of the producers and executives that were in charge of making sure that stuff didn't happen, and yet it did. And this is also reaffirmed for me, I think, that Pete Hines' retirement last year probably was a marking of the departure of the last advocate for recovering games like this. I mean, it was a pretty rare thing to see like Fallout 76 not be abandoned, and it was going to be very rare to see this game not be abandoned, because normally when a game launches horribly and has just a disastrous launch and everybody mocks it and is sick and tired of it, normally studios just move on. They just call it quits, especially with live service stuff. But in this instance, they said that they were planning on trying to give it another chance and let it have sort of its own recovery and comeback arc, which would have been cool to see. But I think once Pete Hines left, there was nobody in the upper echelons of Bethesda Softworks to fight for that, and so they just decided.
I doubt anyone in Bethesda would fight for this garbage in the first place. I mean, Todd very, very reluctantly said in an interview that Redfall was 100% a Bethesda game because they oversaw every decision that was made. So, I mean, kind of getting rid of them and getting rid of this smirch, this blemish on their reputation is kind of not a bad thing. Because now they have the ability to just say, oh yeah, Redfall was, we didn't do anything. Ha ha ha. Because again, lying is good in this industry, sadly.
You know what? It doesn't make sense to keep a Frankenstein's monster on life support when nobody wants it anyways. So like, what are we doing? And people bring up other examples of games that have seen like tremendous comebacks, like No Man's Sky or something like that. And they point to that and say, do you think that this game could also have a similar comeback? And frankly, I don't think that was ever really in the cards, because frankly, it's not an IP people wanted or like were that interested in to begin with. I don't know of anybody that heard of Redfall and once they saw gameplay and saw how it was built out was like, ooh yeah, that sounds awesome. I want that. I don't know of anybody that said that. Everybody was like, oh god, another one.
No, I mean, if Redfall was good, it would be good. It would be, Redfall could have been like a Vermintide 2 or something like that. Who knows? There was a chance, but sadly, no. They completely messed up. They completely fucked up. Well, actually, it was supposed to be Left 4 Dead. But, you get the point. There was a chance, but that chance did not exist. If the game was good, the game would be good and people would play it. Again, the most fundamental, simplest aspect of life. Game good, gamers play it. I know. Very tricky things to understand, but it's true.
Another live service looter shooter? Come on. And it has that staple 2023 cringe stuff as well. Like Layla, this playable character, not only does she look like she doesn't even want to be here in the menu, her fingers also like clip into the guns when she's holding it on this menu. But yeah. In addition to all of that, her like big ability.
Bro, my favorite part is the Redfall director or the whatever Austin blah 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 studio head CEO, whoever the hell he was, who said, listen, speaking as a human, well, you need to remember that we need to make good games with a lot of culture in them. This is the fucking culture you get. This is garbage. This is DUI woke shit, and this is what you get for putting your political leanings before actually doing your job.
Is summoning her ex-boyfriend. Hell yeah. Cause reasons. Like, who thought that that was cool? I think I'm supposed to think that's hip and cool and just, oh, that's badass.
I mean, if they sold Redfall and leather belt and a broom closet, they would have sold much more copies. Because just looking at this, what the hell is this even? I want to kind of ask Alexa where the closest broom closet is and where can I buy a leather belt. Okay.
But I don't know anybody who would think that. And the fact that somebody else thought that that would be received as badass and hip and cool worries
Alexa, what is the easiest way to hang myself? There you go.
me greatly. Don't get me wrong, there are some cool things like that little elevator thing you can do. The way
Okay, bro, stop. Calling the stupid elevator cool is not good.
waves crashing, the ship's upturned, all of this stuff is kind of a cool visual presentation, and I think
Visual. Look at this. You can see the waves are bugged when you when you zoom closer to them. Like, look at this garbage. The hell is this? That's right. That's the quality.
presentation, and I think there was at least potential there. I don't think it's the most uninteresting setting for a game, but it's just woefully lacking content. It's certainly lacking support, and at the end of the day, it's just a game that nobody really asked for.
It looks like there's actually nothing to do in this game also.
And
in general.
this guy's very confused. And so I'm not really shocked that this news is breaking, but it still is lame and sucks, certainly for the people that didn't really do anything wrong other than work as hard as they could on a concept that nobody wanted, that they were being forced to work on by executives who thought it would be a quick cash grab. But the one chance this game had of really making a comeback is now
One shot, one opportunity, spaghetti.
pretty much gone and dead, because they were supposed to get at least 2 more playable characters. They were supposed to get new expansions, enemies, boss fights, stuff like that, and all of that.
I don't understand this. We see so many times that this just constantly happens. You hear people that are gamers that play games and whatnot, and you see them play something like this or Fallout 76 or whatever type of bonanza disaster, right? And they're like, oh, this game had a chance at redemption. It only needed a couple of new guns and a blah. Now, if baseline shooting is boring, if baseline items are boring, if baseline characters are boring, if the story is bad, if everything at the baseline is bad, it doesn't matter how much sprinkles you put on it. It's still a pile of shit. You know? When the gameplay is bad, slow, boring, and disastrous, adding a new character is not going to fix those problems. Adding a new character, in fact, solves nothing. I don't understand how people can look at this and be like, ah, yes, this is fine gameplay. The base game here is good. Ho ho ho. No, it's not good. It's horrible. That's why the game failed. This is not fixable. This is why I'm saying it's easier to make a new game than actually make this playable.
That is just gone. I mean, they're no longer going to be doing anything for it. I wonder for how long that was the plan, because we haven't heard anything from them in a very long time. They pretty much would spend a month between social media posts, and even then it was like you would hear like a GIF posted on Twitter. Like that was all you would see. What is happening on the ground here? What? Okay,
Quality,
I don't
baby.
know what's happening. But you know what? Hopefully this marks the end of an era of really crappy attempts at live service games, because we've gotten a flood of them, and it's just wasted the potential of so many great studios. I mean, this studio at one time made Prey, and Prey was fantastic, and yet they were forced to do this, and in the process lost all of the talent that made Prey possible. And so now they're...
Yeah, and that's why they can shut down. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy, as they say. Anyway, Luke Steffens, 10 out of 10.